Hi, you can call me Suresh.
Hi.
Hi, sir.
Hi, sir.
Hi. Very nice. Well, so Sunday at home, not many people can be as comfortable as an office setup, but that's fine. So I could find. I just joined a bit late. I'm sorry for that. But should we wait for some more people to get in, or shall we start?
We can start.
Yeah, I think we should start. When somebody can join, I think that's okay. I think even the video is available maybe later on. This is actually recorded. So, I just need to have a right. I think Praveen is the right. I'm in touch with Praveen. Is it fine, Praveen?
Yeah, sir. Will, sir.
Yeah, that's great. So that will be a full official video that will be handed over to you. Very well. So. I'm not sure how many of you people are experienced more into the domestic, I say, the domestic manufacturing units. I have worked in a couple of them before. The standards that we have, all right. So the standards that we have, I can't say they are at par with the global standards. Now we have got India has got somewhere around 675 or 680 manufacturing units approved by USFDA within India in 7-8 different hubs. But the trouble is, the Indian guidelines issued, they were actually very much tailor-made to Indian setup, Indian economy, and a kind of Indianized culture. That's what we had. So if you remember well, I think the USFDA, the guidelines and all, they have come into prominence somewhere in 1970s. That is one kind of time that we have actually we are well versed with the 21 CFRs. But in India, we had a Drugs and Cosmetics Act that was in 1945, and we just need to understand we are much older, and our focus is drugs and cosmetics. But FDA's focus is food and drugs. So we just need to understand the methodology, the economy, the structure of the industry. The structure of the Indian pharmaceutical industry was on a different setup. The qualifications were different. You find more engineers in US based facilities, and here we find more pharmacists appear. So now, yes, that's right. And now we actually get on with certain changes. We got to get updated as per the Indian systems are concerned. So this entire training program, this 1 hour training program, we are actually trying to look at, how best we can address the recent changes, the latest changes that we had in say for example, in a year's time. I think January 2024 is the time when we had actually this revision done, and CDSCO has given certain timelines for big pharma and small and medium pharma as well. So we'll just jump into it, and we'll just have a small presentation on this. And once we are ready, I think we should be in a position to try to understand, what are all these changes. Earlier, what it was, and now what it is. We'll just have a look into it. Yeah. May I share my screen, please?
Yes.
Are you able to see my screen? I am going into the presentation mode now.
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
All right. So now this presentation particularly, it actually talks more about not about the entire schedule, but the differences between the earlier one and the recent one. Well, oh, okay. So let me just introduce myself. I am Suresh Bommareddy. You can just connect me back. There is a small space between Suresh and Bomma and Reddy. So many people they try reaching me, but Suresh Bommareddy is not a single word. It is two different words in LinkedIn. So I studied BPharm. I started my career in 1999. That was my first company. But regularly, I started from 2001. So it's roughly around 25, 26 years of experience. That's what I catch up. And I worked with major global generic companies, four top companies out of top five. So I worked with Sandoz. I worked with Sanders was the second biggest, and then I worked with Actavis, and then Mylan, and from Mylan I shifted to Baxter, and that was the last position that I had. And later on I worked with Dr. Reddy's as well, but now I am an independent consultant. So carrying at around 25 years of experience in quality management systems. So this is my profile, and I just want to have a couple of words on Royal Quality Pillars. We started it 2019. We started in 2019. We are a consulting firm, and it is a panel of consultants who actually work around end-to-end GMP and regulatory compliance solutions. This is what we say. So experts in CSV, quality management systems, tech transfers, and audit readiness, and also the tailored services. We can customize for sterile and non-sterile operations. We can just customize the services as required by the clients. So committed to quality, confidentiality, and client success. We see success only when our client succeeds. Well, so we'll get into the presentation where I talk something around the gap assessment, and the 2024 revision is pretty important. That's what we need to understand by the end of this session. So the key structural changes, what actually they proposed and they got accepted, it was like earlier we had 11 chapters, and now we have got around 19 chapters. So the layout was text heavy. If you see the drugs and cosmetics, the book itself is like very verbose. Trying to understand it appears to be kind of legal language that they have actually dropped in. But now it is a bit structured and it is modular. We actually, some kind of understandings are more when compared to the older layout. And we used to have some annexures and some forms and all these things, but now we have got multiple annexures which are very detailed. I can say they are action oriented. Earlier it was not action oriented, they were knowledge based, but now it is almost like action based formats and the annexures that they have with all the explanations. So what are the additions here? So they have added certain things with the quality risk management. Some base principles they have joined in up. We will see what they are. And product life cycle and continual improvement. It is a clear-cut advancement that we had from the CDSCO. Data integrity expectations. So now data integrity is a FDA term, and we are trying to actually inculcate certain Western habits, or I can say modern habits, with the data integrity expectations, qualifications and validation life cycle, and annual product quality review. So these were made actually a bit elaborate when compared to the earlier versions. So now here the new chapters, we have got QRM, DI, and these are absolutely new. Qualifications and contract manufacturers. Well, so earlier in older version, so QRM is not well defined, but there was a trouble saying like there is a structure that is missing. So everybody has got their own say, and there is no standard on the quality risk management. Somebody felt it is riskier, somebody felt it is less riskier kind of structure. So now we have to add up. That is a trouble that we had earlier. Validation also the same thing. We had just a basic mentioning of you need to have a guaranteed version of your process. That's what actually it is. And now it is an entire life cycle approach. So how strong in a control that we are. Things those were mentioned earlier. So not really big deal of clarifications that we had. So everybody can do anything what they want. That's what it happened. And now it's like data integrity issues were much higher when compared to the earlier, when compared to the uh, regulatory ask. When I say that. And HUSCC and the utilities, they have just mentioned there, but there is no classification, kind of area classifications, and they had, but it is very primitive kind of classifications they mentioned there, right? So this is a gap actually. It actually propels the contamination parts. If you look into the manufacturing units, you would be having a strange difference, a very big difference between domestic manufacturing and export-oriented manufacturing. So this was a very big trouble for us. There is a really big gap. Whenever we are a country, the largest English-speaking country, and we have got more number of USFDA approved plants. After USA, India is the biggest country which had most number of manufacturing sites. We have to admit that our quality standards are really high, at par with FDA, and now the regulations they're falling short of it. And sometimes there are a couple of cases where FDA has come here for an inspection or for some surprise audit, some unannounced inspections, and they have found some significant violations in India, and they had really questioned CDSCO about their capabilities to monitor the quality systems in India. Oh, that was a big insult for CDSCO. Let me tell you honestly, this is a licensing authority in India, and when somebody politically they have questioned, I think you must be knowing these incidents before a couple of years ago, before January 2024, there were some significant violations in India, and CDSCO they had a political question, geopolitical question raised. What actually CDSCO capable of, kind of it. So somebody from foreign country they have to come in, and then they have to identify these things. Why can't CDSCO actually look into it? Then we have got some real understandings to be there. So now they started working far enough, and now their regulations are changed. Not changed, they're upgraded. So ours is an older system, and now we made a very big difference there, right? So are you guys still with me?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Right. Well, so I'm just taking you to the next slides, which we are getting into the details of the changes. We'll just have a chat on that. Now, so here we go, the old school Schedule M and revised Schedule M, and what is the gap that were there, and then how they have closed it. This is the tabular form that we are actually, this is a bit focused on exactly the changes what they have made. So one is the regulatory alignment. Okay, so one earlier we had some standards comparable with the WHO GMP. Are they outdated or not outdated, but they are actually primitive when compared to present evolved systems. The kind of machinery is changed, the kind of documentation structure is changed, the kind of software we have brought in, it is totally changed and evolved. So now whether the systems are outdated, no, they are supposed to be evolved. So now we have to align with the WHO GMP in PICS and ICH guidelines, and even 21 CFRs. I could find some, when I am studying this revisions, I could find some base routes from 21 CFRs as well. See, and old Schedule M was not aligned with evolving global GMP expectations. That because the kind of software it just poured in from the year 2005. I remember, I think somewhere around 2004, the software has come into the picture. And until 2014, people were adapting in and out. The number of softwares that were engaged in pharmaceutical manufacturing industries, it has gone from 0 to 100. So many softwares, so many new things, and the kind of digitalization that happened. CDSCO was not really ready at that time. So we were actually having the older regulations which are based on the manual systems. So now that was the need there. So regulatory alignment, we had to do that. So WHO GMP with the latest ones, and then with the PICS and ICH guidelines. And to some extent, I also find some 21 CFRs. So what's the next one? It is the quality risk management. Quality risk management is a newer concept even for 21 CFRs. Even for USA, quality risk management, it is a bit evolving. Still, it is evolving. So we did not have really big standards. We have got something called risk priority number, and based on severance, occurrence, and detectability. But that is still, it is not considered as a standard. Every company, every person who does QRM, they have got their own rating of risk priority number. It is really tough to identify like that. So standards were not there. We are still evolving, but still we have come forward a bit. So mandatory QRM implementation as per ICH Q9. This is what actually the revised schedule M is talking about. And the decision making, we need to have certain controls or standards over taking a decision. Whether it is a riskier process or whether it is a riskier equipment or not, I think there should be some structured way of handling it. Next, the product quality review. So earlier we used to not really that seriously mentioned, but now with the somebody wanted to ask me something. All right. Shall I continue?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's fine. So the product quality reviews, this is an annual product quality reviews. Now it is mandatory. So we have to have a, this is a part of the validation life cycle anyway, the drug product life cycle. They have made it very big, very conspicuous attempt. So now earlier APQR was not that mandatory, and now here it is, now we are, CDSCO is mandating it. So the next one is change control system. What was earlier, it was very limited actually, and the data gathered, limited in the sense there is a system. Definitely, I don't say there is no system, but change control system was there, but the kind of data that they have accumulated, that they accumulate during the change control, that is very less. It just gives only a glimpse of it, but why it happened, the explanation is not there. So now we have a well-defined change control procedure. So now the revised schedule M, it is actually given instruction for well-defined change control procedures in place. And now that is another gap, of course. Change control is one thing very important, which actually tracks back the history of the intellectual evolution along with the business. So how we are actually evolving our business, how we are extending, how we are spreading our business, that can be tracked through the change controls. See, that's the trouble. We all feel that, changes has to be controlled, they have to be evaluated, that's fine. But why should we do all these things? Because the reason why the change control has got a very important space is, how the business have actually gone, how the business is developed, what are those factors which actually helped or instigated for a company to expand the pathway, the progression way that is actually captured by change control system. If we don't have a change control system only, we may know the changes, but we may not know the reasons how and why we have got these kind of expansions. So change control now in revised schedule M, or they have given a very clear, well-defined structure there. Well, we have got some changes in vendor qualifications as well. So what kind of things they are? They have some, vendor has to be qualified enough, and vendor has to have certain norms, quality standards. These are mentioned, but it is not that stringent. Okay. So supply chain was not really considered with the pharmaceutical sciences earlier. Even today, if you see the B.Pharm syllabus, Bachelor in Pharmacy syllabus, prescribed by Pharma Council of India, the supply chain principles are very less explained. Actually, pharmaceutical jurisprudence itself, it takes a second seat. Many people, they really don't get into deeper issues with the pharmaceutical jurisprudence. So supply chain management is not really that great explained. So now the vendor qualification, they are actually ramping up, and they have got some stringent quality qualification systems along with the audits. Earlier it was not none, but after Jan 2024, I think it has become really stringent out there. And now the data integrity, so one of the favorite subjects in the entire world. Let me tell you honestly, everybody suffers with data integrity every now and then. So now data integrity, we are adopting the Alcoa principles, Alcoa Plus. Earlier they were never covered, and now they are covered into CDSCO. It's a critical update. Definitely, it's a critical update. Now, data integrity is standing the number one trouble with the pharmaceutical industry since a decade. Since a decade, it is number one. Prior to that, it was investigations. People, they were saying that investigations are not proper, but now it is data integrity beyond any questions. Whether the company is from India or not from India, data integrity is going to be an issue everywhere. Earlier, they felt it is only India and China, but even US and UK manufacturing facilities, now they are suffering with data integrity. Well, and the other one is self-inspections and internal audits, right? They were never enforced by Schedule M. CDSCO did not did not enforce having self-inspections and internal audits. They had a mention. It's like an optional thing. You want to do, you do. Otherwise, you don't need. You don't need it. Kind of stuff. But let me tell you now, it has gone with the self-inspection along with the CAPAs. They are not going to track everything out of it. So if you are not going to have self-inspection and internal audit, it is going to be a non-compliance at this point in time. Earlier, it was an optional stuff. I think not an optional, but it was not taken seriously. Self-inspection, who does the job well? That's what actually they meant. But now it is not like that. Including the CAPA, the entire system has been restructured right away. And what do we have? The next point is classroom classifications. Oh God, let me tell you. Classroom qualifications like the graded areas for steriles and all. Let me give you one of my experiences in Chennai. There is a pharma industrial cluster there actually, and I was working with a MNC there in that area, and I got a chance to just go inside the industrial area. I never went there. You work in a company, you go to the company, you go back home. That's what you do. So morning you go to the office, evening you come back home. Why do you want to explore the industrial area? But on a Sunday, one of my friends have come for a visit for an interview on Monday. So what I did, I have just taken him along with me, and we have gone to the company there. That is the time where I have observed what are the companies look like, and I was really astonished. There is no climate control in injections manufacturing facility. I said, what kind of injection facility is this? You can't really have an injection done with open to the atmosphere. So the facility is so weak, and still they have got licenses, and the drug inspector comes in, they goes out, but actually they have never seen it. What kind of controls they have. That's a really bad stuff. Now, the graded areas are not very well defined in the earlier CDSCO version, but now they are defined. So now the graded areas, now you can't find any of the manufacturing sites open to atmosphere any point in time. So you can't have a window having an entire window in a quality control lab. That's what I have seen. So I was astonished there, and somehow now the controls are in place, and I'm sure that Indian companies are going to take considerable time to comply to these significant changes. That's what we know. See, we work in a USFDA company. We find them very, very simple and very easy and very monitorable. But a guy who works in a domestic plant, to have these compliances, it is going to be a really hard work. Harder the work, let me tell you. And this is going to be the structure of Indian domestic manufacturers. It is going to be really, really, really a tough time for them if CDSCO starts getting in and trying to understand what compliances they have. Well, so the last point we were talking around is clean room classifications. And earlier it was only some environmental grades that we had, not fully aligned. But now we have got fully defined grade A to grade D areas as per WHO and EU. So it harmonizes everything to the global norms. So now I have got few more things to mention. So one is HVAC and environmental monitoring. Um, well, there is nothing really special about HVAC. They had some controls there, temperature controls and something. But here it is, but now we have gone with detailed standards, monitoring alarms and corrective actions, and something going wrong. How do you handle it, and how are you recording it? These are the parameters which actually CDO started mentioning, and we need to have controls. And earlier controls, are they not the controls? Yes, they are the controls, but they are not sufficient. So now the controls which are getting established, they are into the closer part of the manufacturing systems. Next is water systems. There is another point where we have gone with water and utility systems. So it is just mentioned you need to have this. That's all in the earlier version. But now we have got a detailed design, validation, and monitoring, even for the utilities, other utility system. You get compressed air now. I think we need to. I'm sorry, I just got distracted. So here, the utility systems and their qualifications, to the extent that we are doing in FDA plants or any other export-oriented plants, it is way higher when compared to the domestic plants. So now the things are changing anyway. So we have got a detailed requirements for design, the validation, and the monitoring things. So these are critical systems, of course, and quality defining. And the other part is validation and qualification. Now full blown drug product life cycle. That is what they have mentioned. So earlier it was only some part of it, but now it is a full drawn life cycle. So we are supposed to have the entire drug product life cycle, including validation and qualification. So they have given a very clear guidance on that. CDSCO, I think we are at par with the global standards right away. Right? It is aligning with ICH Q8 and Q11. So the training, they used to say, every person has to be trained on the activities that they are doing. It should be a combination of experience, it should be a qualification and training. But now the records, you just show, earlier I remember the days when we just show a record and we say that some training is done. But now we need to give the training need analysis. Why did you come to a conclusion that this is the training requirement? And now we need to address them. So for that, we need to have a system. So just having a training is not sufficient. We also need to have the reasons why we are training them. Right? So even those should be documented. And it again has a life cycle, training life cycle. So these are the changes that actually they did. And now few more. Now this gets interesting. This slide is my favorite slide actually, and this is the last one for the changes. The computerized system. There were no computers earlier. Forget about the computer system validations. There were no computers at all in the pharma companies, except for the managers and for doing some bigger things. They had them, but as a function, they never had computers inside. Very less. And let me tell you, after 2000, there is no company without a computer. And every department has got a functional computer running, a set of computers running in. And after 2005, maybe the new software started flowing in, and that has to be validated now. So now, how can you ensure that this particular piece of software or this particular piece of computer hardware, it is actually delivering the results? There were no methods earlier, right? So, or no, not methods. Methods were not there. Now we have the methods, but earlier they were not there. Earlier there were no controls also. No one has got an idea that need to be validated unless some authors has told us. So now the CDSCO, it is actually picking it up. And now they say that computer system validation, it is mandated, and you need to protect the data, save the data, have a backup data, and have a history of it, and don't allow any other personnel to access your data. That's what actually we are trying to put on. So now this is a computer system validation. That's a whole new science. I think last Sunday we had this session anyway. So the next one is recalls. Earlier recalls were only mentioned. They did not tell more about that. But now the recalls procedures, they are a bit detailed. So now we need to have the tracking mechanism established all through the places. So now wherever you are actually selling your products, I think you should be able to track the material back. And if it is critical, within a couple of days. They don't give more than 48 hours time to retrieve back. So complaints and adverse event reportings, this has got some, some details into it. Earlier it was only stopping at reporting. So ADR, adverse event reports were supposed to be reported, but now they have to be investigated and they have to be corrected. That's what our guideline mentions right now. So the pharmacovigilance activities, they are enhanced when compared to the previous set of instructions, previous guidelines, and now they have given some clarity over pharmacovigilance activities. If a company doesn't have a pharmacovigilance department or something like that, they have to outsource it at least. So now there is no chance that we report them. We have to monitor them right now. And documentation or SOPs and records, we used to have them, but there were no strong guidelines suggesting the control and the life cycle of the documents. So now this time we have got a comprehensive documentation systems and with reinforcement. Now they have got a rule saying that you need to have it, otherwise it is a complaint. It is an observation. It supports data integrity and records and accountability, who has done what, and all core principles are maintained. And now the fun part is like, how much time did they give? 6 months. For large companies, it is 6 months, and for small and medium companies, they have asked for within 1 year. So they are actually reinforcing very fast. 6 months is very fast for a large pharma company that manufactures domestic. And they also know whenever large pharma is there, they have got an export-oriented unit which has got all the systems updated, and adapting is not a big deal. So there's a reason why they have got 6 months, and they are impacting a lot in the social scenarios. The number of products are more. They are selling more products into the domestic markets. So they need to get fast, get repaired it out faster. And the next one, sterile manufacturing. Sterile manufacturing was never strong in India. I think we manufacture them, but the control over them is really less. Did somebody die because of it? No, but there were considerable quality complaints though, and they are tough to investigate. They're tough to handle, and many people, I think many companies, if you find a trouble with the sterile manufacturing, the controls were so less in domestic scenario, and it is very tough for anybody to identify what the problem is. So tracking and making the history, it has become like unmanageable situations. You have got hundreds and thousands of documents. There is no process, there is no control, and there is no way how you can track out what actually happened with this particular product. But now I think they are pressuring. The CDSCO is putting a great pressure on having all these controls, modernized guidelines, modernized setup, and everything is under known controls. So including the pressure differentials and the gownings, they're actually mentioning them in their CDSCO reports. So it is critical. So definitely it is critical. Sterile manufacturing is definitely a critical area that we need to concentrate, and CDSCO has taken right steps to look into it. Well, are you guys with me? Are you guys still with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Very nice, very nice. Thanks for being with me. Just tell me if you are bored subject is a bit boring subject today when compared to computer system validation and data integrity. But that's fine. So what is the impact? Impact on the industry because of this change. What we had in January 2024, I think what is the trouble that we have? It has a profound impact on industry. One thing is we get ready regulatory wise, right? So we are raising our standards. Even every single domestic plant, there should not be any difference. That's a problem. Every time we talk about it, we feel very very burdened out of it. See, even very big companies, they have a separate plant for domestic manufacture, and the quality standards are really substandard when compared to the same company with the export-oriented unit. Say, for example, Cipla has got a USFDA approved plant, and it has got a domestic plant. There are many differences quality-wise in the same company. Cipla is far better, let me tell you. And Cipla is a very big company and very very structured one, and they don't have any differences. Even in that, we find certain differences. And if you come to smaller companies, they don't really care about domestic manufacture at all. If you really see the domestic manufacturing plants, you don't feel like taking medicines from them. That's really an absurd. So now, do you have an impact? Yes, of course. Corona's help is narante. So now we got to get ready with the regulatory readiness, and cost of compliance is increasing. So always uh, you know, safety has got a double premium over the product's price. Say, for example, you find a small car and you just pay a lakh of it, or 4 or 5 lakhs on one car. But if you want a safe car, you have to shell out double the money. So safety always is costly. Compliance again is costly. So now product quality and patient safety and the cost of quality compliance increases. I am not saying quality has a cost. I don't say that. It is not fact. It is not correct. Quality doesn't have cost, but compliance does. Okay, there is a fine difference. Quality is not costly. Quality is the way how we work and way we present it. It is not costly, but compliance is costly. To show the evidence that we are having quality systems in place and we are following through them, that is costly. So if somebody says quality is costly, please don't accept it. Quality is not costly, but showing complaints is costly. If I want to show that my products are of great quality, I need to go for more number of tests, which are of course costly, right? So now the complaints is costly, not the quality, right? So I just want to give a clarification on that. So now improved product quality and patient safety. So this is what actually the focus need to be. Earlier it was business and compliance, quality, but now it is more with the patient safety and the patient centricness, which of course we know that because a few of our people, we have already worked in USFDA. So the shift, purpose, the priorities always shift from quality to safety. Safety is the first one. Pressure on SMEs for infrastructure upgrades. So now the subject matter experts whom we have in the domestic plants, in the domestic front, let me tell you, they are supposed to be, they are not really subject matter experts. They just copy someone. They are not original. Many of the people, if you see the quality of the information they have at the domestic front, it is very meager. I have seen the people earlier when we went to a couple of audits at the domestic sites. Let me tell you, these people, they don't have a clear understanding on the GMPs, obviously, for various reasons. Because the CDSCO regulations doesn't mandate, they don't take it seriously, and the qualities, they say that they maintain, but they can't show that they are maintaining the quality. So that's the deal. So now there is a pressure on subject matter experts. They have to upgrade themselves and their infrastructure has to be upgraded. So it is no more a old day, it is no more a domestic plant. So there is no more a substandard systems running up. Quality of products is not substandard, but the controlling mechanisms are substandard. So that is what actually CDSCO taking very seriously this time. Well, so what should we do? What should we do ultimately? So we have got the fact is that we have got a revised guidelines. What let me tell you, revised guidelines always have some gap assessments to be done. So there should be an expert who actually understands both the systems very well, and then he need to prepare a roadmap saying that we need to have a we used to have this system and we need to go to this level of systems and this is the roadmap, and an expert has to sit there and they have to go through and they have to work it around. Whoever may be the subject matter expert who is with the new regulations, there has to be full blown audit. This is called human performance technology. So you need to go through the gap assessments in such a way. There is a model in human performance actually. So now how do you perform the gap assessment? That is of prime importance. What are all those critical things that you are actually listing them down? And if you can't list those critical things in the existing system and the new systems which we need to improve, we will never improve. So gap assessment, it has to have certain critical quality attributes and critical control parameters listed down, and we need to enhance the systems, and we need to see that these changes are consistently proper results. So a detailed GMP audit has to be done. That is the first recommendation I have. And the second one, implement training. Oh, let me tell you, the training part is always a gray area. The quality of information that we have is really substandard. So we just at the domestic plant level, that's what I'm talking about. All the people have to be trained properly with a proper logic. They need to have a proper implementation systems, and those ones work instructions has to be trained to the correct people. Many people, they really don't have full information on what kind of data need to be written on the documents and how it has to be safeguarded. We are losing a lot of data, so training is very important, first part. And upgrade the facility. There is no way that you can maintain graded area without upgrading the facility design. There is no way. So now the guidelines are specifying that your area should be graded, your HVAC systems have to be monitored properly, pressure differential has to be maintained between the rooms, or you have to upgrade your facility. You can't have a HVAC put it off because your power bill is high. You can't do that anymore. We are done. Those are old days actually. So we introduce quality risk management. That is another recommendation I have. Data integrity policies. Have a policy for data integrity. Data integrity, see, we don't keep on talking on the documentation or in the training programs. Data integrity has to be a functional document within the manufacturing site. So if we don't have a policy or a procedure for having data integrity controls, maybe we are not defining ourselves very properly, right? And have a quality risk management. However we feel it is feasible, however we feel it is appropriate, we need to introduce quality risk management. We can't skip it over, or we can't do a dull quality risk management. We need to do it very sharply, very close to the facts. That is what we need to do. We are not showing to somebody, we are saving our products. That's what we need to do with the quality risk management. I think we shall have one session on quality risk management shortly. And prepare for CDSCO inspections. Oh, let me tell you, these people are now, they are frustrated because I am sorry to say that, but FDA has given a real good communication, about the capabilities of CDSCO. It is very clear. We have to have a controlling mechanism from the government side so that the entire systems, they are following here. They are at par with the international guidelines. There is a hell lot of pressure. So I am sure you are going to get more CDSCO inspections if you are in the business of domestic markets. So CDSCO is going to come back for sure. For sure, they are going to come back with a bigger stick. I mean, bigger checklists. They come with, I'm sorry, they come with a bigger checklist and bigger penalties this time. We need to get prepared. So I really suggest you find some good subject matter expert, have a gap analysis done, and give training, intensive training, some kind of boot camp training to your people, and then upgrading the facility design documentation, sorry, facility, upgrading facility along with the design and documentation. That's what I meant. So introduce good systems for data integrity, functional systems, and then quality risk management. And we will be ready for the inspections. We will save our business. Otherwise, non-compliance is very costly. Compliance is costly, and non-compliance is very costly, and we lose reputation. We lose, all entire thing in Indian markets. It is just the reputation. Reputation. Here we, India is the only country which has a component talking about branded generics. People they pay because they trust. India is a poor country? No, not really. Let me tell you. So we are having 3 lakh crore business, 3 lakh crore business per annum in domestic market. I am not talking about the global markets. 3 lakh crores here. Let me tell you, there are some companies, there are some countries with this kind of GDPs. It is a huge business and a very good business opportunity, and it is run by trust. We can't break our trust with the patients, with the people up there. So one small complaint, it can actually ruin the entire stuff. So one, see, if some complaint comes from the market, we can manage. But if a complaint comes from the regulatory bodies, it is really tough to handle it. Really, really tough to handle. So it is going to be really a costly deal for you. So if you feel that compliance is costly, let me tell you, try not having a compliance. You are going to be boosted out of the industry. So now, with this, I think I have a small conclusion down here. So I am happy for a few reasons, because our standards are going to be truly global. So not only just the 670 USFDA approved manufacturing sites, the remaining 20,000 manufacturing sites, 19,500 roughly around, they are also going to have the same kind of regulations. So there is nothing called rest of world countries. There is nothing called domestic. There is nothing called export regulated markets. Everything is going to be the same, at par on the standards. That's what I am happy with. But there is a lot of exercise to do. Early adoption, that's right. So whenever you have a new manufacturing plant, even if it is not meant for the export, I want you to have a convinced idea that early as possible, if you can adapt these systems, later on we don't have any troubles with any of the regulatory authorities. So don't try to have a project built based on the markets. Oh, this plant is for regulated markets, this plant is for rest of world, this plant is for domestic markets. Please don't feel that way. We are erasing the lines between these three. No domestic, no rest of world, no USFDA. I think we need to have a common platform. So as early as possible, during the project, if you can adapt these principles, it will be easing your situations later on. Yeah. Well, the next one, risk-based GMP. This is the future. We have to be proactive. So if we can't anticipate certain things and do right now, we are going to suffer a long way later on. Correcting a mistake is really, really a painful process. So anticipating something go wrong, and then you have a preventive GMP or a predictive GMP or a risk-based GMP. This is what future is going to be. So GMPs are not going to wait until there is a failure. They are going to save the failures. So we need to have risk-based GMP, and that is our future. Well, are you guys still with me?
Yes.
Yeah, buddies, very nice. Well, this is okay. This is just a backup. I don't think we have something to discuss about it. So do we have any questions here? I'll just stop here for a couple of questions.
Can you please a little bit elaborate on vendor qualification?
Oh, thank you for the question. See, vendor qualification is like, I'm sorry. See, whatever the raw material or packing material we are going to get, we are going to have some qualification process, some formal qualification process done with the vendors. So we ask certain samples first, and we from three different consecutive batches we ask for a sample, then we analyze them, and then we say, okay, this vendor is delivering some quality products, and then we'll go with a small questionnaire with a checklist whether they have the similar quality systems that we are having. So our quality systems, our quality systems have to match with what the vendor quality systems are. So vendor will have certain quality systems, and those quality systems and our quality systems should match. And after that, we go for an audit. So this is a regular system that we had, but now that has to be evidenced. That has to be proved. Every single stage that has to have a document that you have got some samples and all these things. So CDSCO earlier, it did not have these big controls earlier. Now with the revised versions, they have got elaborated structure in place. Well, did I answer you?
Yes, sir.
Right. Very well. Thank you for the
I
question.
have one more question on that, sir.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Suppose vendor is, if I'm working in domestic plant, and the vendor is doing as per only the pharmacopoeia like USP, BP, EP and all. But
Yeah.
the material I need to use for IP, and I need to test as per IP, whether it is acceptable to do.
No, IP is going to be the standard anyway because it defines the markets, right? So
Correct.
IP, I have to match it over there.
Whether vendor need to comply as per IP only, or if he comply as per USP also, even it is okay for domestic plant.
No, I think we should go with IP only. When the material comes down, because they have got their own ways of getting it assayed down. So now IP has to be when the specification says it is IP, it has to be IP. So USB can't be used for IP.
Yes.
Shall I answer, sir? I will.
Please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So vendor is given to the material by USB, okay, or EP or BP, whatever it may be, okay. You want to the material, it is a compliance to the IP, okay. It is the vendor is tested in line with the IP, okay, and give it to the CYA. You can use it. It's there is no problem at all. This is the one case. A second case. When you take it to the USP material and as a formulator, okay, and you test it to the in line with the specification in IP, and you ask to the again vendor, so this is the compliance level, okay, you can make it the retesting and give it to me the COA, your COA and our COA, I can file and I can use the material. This is the second way. So when it is not useful, these two is the use case, and when it is the not useful. In the API vendor, having the two different process, it is the related to the regulatory market and non-regulatory market. It is the two different solvents, whatever it may be. It is the process is the different, right? It is the two different process. Then USP material cannot use to the in IP. It is the different, the API having the different process. If it is the process is the same material, it is the qualify as per the vendor communication, as per the formulation communication, you can use it the material. This is the case. But it should be comply with the specification.
Yes.
So let me just add up to what Suresh has just told. See, I'm taking another example, not the IPBP case. See, in India, I have got a driving license. Okay, I have got a driving license in India. I go to US. I will be given 1 year's time to have an international driving license for US. So now I go here. The concepts are the same. The qualities are the same, but the roads are a bit different. So now I go there and I will have one international driving license, change that. And if I go to London we have got left orientations. Every roads are like that. But the same license is useful there also. Okay. So now there is a material, you can test for USP, you can test for BP, you can test for IP as well. So if the specifications mention, I need to have IP. See, the SA value has to be as per IP. And if somebody, the specification says it is USB, we go by USB. Well, so this is the way how actually the material can be used. So now USB material, can it be used for IP? Oh, if it is passing the tests very well with IP, yes, you can use it. Otherwise, no.
Why I'm asking this question is, sir, actually, there was a one GAR-like material. Generally, it is GAR.
Okay.
Okay. Generally, it is manufactured in the China. And they are claiming only as per the USP.
Yeah.
Okay. But that material we are using for our domestic manufacturing. So we need to comply as per IP.
Yeah.
There is only one material is manufacturing that material.
Correct.
Okay. So in that case, how we need to handle just its question for me?
Or have an essay based on IP. So to do the analysis based on IP.
Suppose, correct, sir. In Indian pharmacopoeia, heavy metals still remains, they have retained. But come to the USP, the heavy metals test was removed. So in that cases, if suppose heavy metals test was failed as per IP, then how it need to be addressed? And this is what for my question was came.
Correct. So now you get it because they don't do it, right?
Exactly.
Because they don't do it, heavy metals, because it is not mentioned in USP, they don't go for the testing at all. But here, there, we need to have a testing done properly for that.
100%.
Suresh, I think, Suresh, am I missing something here?
Yeah, correct, sir. 100% in the IP specification, it is the any single test failure, even description also. We cannot use that material in the further proceed. Okay, that's why Sari is telling to the example. It's a European roads different and driving style is different. So like that. Right? So USP and the USP not required to the heavy metals because of their culture, whatever it may be. Okay, but in our domestic, it is the requirement. It is the yes.
We can actually connect back some point in time, and we can wait for some other questions here.
Yes. Somebody is given to the other questions.
And Praveen, thank you for asking this. I think this is one of the important things. I have got a couple of people who have asked this kind of questions earlier. So that's the reason why I give you some statements up there, and I'm sorry for that. That's right.
Thank you. It's okay. Thank you both of you, Suresh.
Yeah, there are two Suresh now. Okay. All right. So any other questions, friends?
I have one more question, sir.
Please.
Vendor declaration is required if any test is removed or excluded as per in-house specification.
Vendor declaration is required. Is that what it is? I think actually, if at all, I am a person who is actually qualifying the vendor, I am going to insist having these kind of things there. So you give a declaration, but what is the reason to give the declaration? When a specification asks you that I need all these kind of tests to be done, and how can you exempt them?
Okay.
So I'm not going to accept it because my specification is simple, and if the vendor gives a declaration, I am not going to accept it for any reason. I'm sorry for that.
Sir, I have a question.
Please.
See, in the pharmaceutical industry, usually we are taking material as a starting material from the vendor. Right. So we are testing. Testing means we have to collect the sample from all the containers to make it a composite sample and do the testing. Right.
Correct.
But in current Schedule M, what they instructed us to take the sample. To test the material identification for each and every container. I hope you aware. I think. So as per the mandate, we have to fulfill them.
Correct.
To overcome it, any alternative procedure is there. We have to prepare a risk assessment to do that, to dilute that mandate or to reduce some testing activities like that. You may face such things.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. See, actually, yeah. Is that the question?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Right. So now, see, do we have an alternate method? Unfortunately, no. 90% we don't go by that. But can we do it? There is only one. There is only one possibility that you have an entire consignment done, right? So root n plus 1 is always there. Root n plus 1 is the sampling system, and we actually go by that. And there is no shortcut for it, unfortunately. And what is the best alternative is like you can just have a consignment and the proof of consignment, and then you can go ahead with that. But again, we need to declare it later on. We have to declare it. So without declaration, you should not have any alternate methods, and that has to be approved. So without a declaration and approve, we can't go with that. So we have to, if the CDSCO says that you have to go by that, I suggest strongly to go by that.
I will add another 2-3 words, sir.
Please go ahead.
So in this case, it's 100%, as what the sir is told, it's a no is the no. It's 100%, not 99%. Okay, reducing is the, it is the 100%. When it will be the reducing, it will be the, some logic is there, some guidelines is there, okay, reducing testing guidelines is there. It will be the consistency, quality testing, it's as per the guideline, it is the 3 years and 4 years you tested, okay, and followed by your vendor also to be tested. Then you both are making to the one statement, then make it the protocol. You have to reduce the first time, it is the every 5 batch, then followed by, it's a make, it is the risk, reducing is the risk. So risk to be identified based on the, you as a formulator, you have to take it initially every 2 batch, after that every 5 batch, after that every 10 batch. So 10 batch is the maximum. But still 2-3 years it should be tested every test. Then only you have to start the practice reducing testing. From day one, don't take risk. That is the my statement. Okay.
Thank you very much. But my question is, since we are manufacturing the products long back, not only my company, all the companies doing the same. Even US FDA accepted, EU accepted, what it's called, Japan is acceptable, and Korea is also acceptable. Everybody is acceptable, and the industry is also following the same. That means the composite sample, not for individual container sample analysis. They only suggested to do the identification of each and every container. So you see, we already is there in to take this sample from each and every container of starting materials, and we do the composite, and the composite sample doing the analysis. That is the current practice is every industry is being followed. But when we follow new revised Schedule M, so it is a mandate to do the identification test each and every container. So can we do assessment that and prove that as we are following and we have a backup history to overcome that mandate? That is my question.
Yeah, I can explain this. So when the guideline is implemented, it is a 2024. Okay. So maybe it's you have to start the implementation, not it started till now. Okay. So you have to start the implementation, right? From the start of the implementation, you consider as if this is the 0. Okay, as per the guideline. So they don't require to the previous data. Why they are revised the Schedule M? It is the majority, sir is told to me, it's 19,000 facilities, so to be upgraded within the 1 year. So those facilities is, you have to check it, those some facilities, 25% facilities, they are exposed to the environment. That is the situation, they are recognized CDSCO auditors. Okay. So that will be the create the pressure onto the political parties for the export requirement. So it is our India is going to the global economy. Exports is not supporting, its economy is not increasing. That's why political pressure is created to the every CDSCO auditor, or it's every CDSCO inspector. They have to train. They have to continuously training last one and a half year. Every Sunday they are making the training sessions only. Okay, how to improve these practices. So yeah, based on this, so you can practice at least from the consider as a this is the zero. Okay, out next 2 years, then you have to start to the reducing testing and assessment. Any assessment we can do it, but people are inspectors are not consider your previous data. Why? Because previous generation data they know how to generate it, how to find now, right? This is my suggestion only. Okay, based on that, your risk you can take it to the other. If it is some other suggested, you can follow. Not an issue.
What I expect, Suresh, is like there will be more stringent approach, slowly getting into these things. This is what I foresee, because every container, or not only this, the general approach. If you look at, these guys are actually getting into more details, and whether industry likes it or not. Actually, there is a person called Mansukh Mandviya. There was a large hue and cry. The pharma industry did not accept many of the guidelines what they have suggested in CDSCO. So there was a very large hue and cry there, but few are acceptable, few are not acceptable, and the timelines what they have given were very aggressive timelines. So out of these, this also there is a trouble with that. Everybody has good. So now when a regulation comes in, there is a mandate that we have to follow. That is for sure. And now how you are going to handle it, and how we can get into a conventional mode, that we need to depend upon the quality risk management. So if we are going to have an alternative method, a full-blown quality risk management has to be in place. A document has to be in place. So right now I expect these people to ask certain justifications, like how we have done historically and now. And that could be acceptable. That could be acceptable to that.
Other than vendor qualification, some other questions, if it is there. If it is the one question is asking to ask, it is the vendor qualification section.
No, I like it actually. So we are getting into business, Vendor qualification, if we talk more about vendor qualifications, we are actually worried about the input materials. We have to be actually concerned.
Yes.
No problem. Any questions are welcome for this. It's really a good time. I think I'm happy. Last time there were no big questions, but I don't know why, but I feel very happy with the questions coming up. Well, if there are no other questions, maybe Suresh, I have got a couple of things to be told up here. I was just saving for myself. So let me just share my screen for a moment once again. Could you able to see my screen?
Sir, I have one more doubt.
Yeah, please go. Please go ahead.
See, now in schedule, our schedule M says that earlier, if near expiry of raw material is there, that shelf life we need to fix our product. So now schedule M was revised, but they are not speaking about this shelf life related to product increasing and all. Where and all, my shelf life of raw material is less, API shelf life is less. So generally, there was one training session I was attended related to this schedule M implementation in Bangalore. So there we have asked this question. They have verbally communicated that if your raw material shelf life is lesser than your product, you can fix as your product shelf life only. Like if suppose my shelf life of product is 2 years, you fix it 2 years only. Like, but in guideline there is any clarity.
Correct. Even I found that. So in guideline you distort. That's what they say. So that's what they say, and there is no counter argument on that.
Yes, sir.
No, because there is no counter argument, they are actually following that one. So now API has got only 1 year expiry, so my entire product I will have only 1 year expiry. And now nobody has got a scientific rationale to say that no, this is wrong. So there is no counter argument at all. So that is now it has become a norm in the industry. People are saying that and they are doing it actually.
So the thing is that what we need to follow, because my plant is manufacturing for both domestic and export.
Right.
In case of export, we are assigning 2 years only, if my shelf life is lesser than 1 year. But in case of domestic, shelf life is